Okay, so once again, welcome everyone to our Friday Spotlight feature. Today's topic, we will cover how to set up an academic calendar as well as timetable. Okay, I'll quickly go through the slide deck. I only have a few pages, and then I'll toggle back to the actual application so that I can show you in the real application environment. All right, to start with, today's topic, we will first cover how to set up academic calendar and also how to set up timetable. All right, these two will be pretty straightforward, and then we will also show you how to create some makeup classes or catch-up classes. I'm not sure if you're aware that we have this function, but I think it's if you are not, then you will know today. All right, and also quickly show you how we can replace a teacher or to provide relief teacher to a certain class. All right. Last but not least, I know many of our higher ed class courses will be setting up with a flexible timetable. So I'm just going to show you a very simple scenario in terms of how we can assign the flexible timetable to our students. Okay. So to start with, let's start. Academic calendar, this is a three-step process. Okay. So very simply, we got to obviously first set up the semesters. How many semesters we're going to have in a year? 1, 2, 3, okay, or even 4 if you have some summer classes or whatnot. Then once we set up the semester, we will then go in to define the semesters, as in put in the division. Okay, so when we say semesters division, that means that we're pretty much defining the semesters. How many study weeks? Is there any term break? Where is the exam? Okay, and then last but not least, once we have set up our semesters, defined the term, then we have to link the semesters to the relevant calendar set. Okay, because when we are creating timetables, we based on calendar sets. All right, so these are the steps that you can go through. I will go through them in the mesh system. Now, when we're setting up timetable, it's pretty straightforward as well. Go to timetable, manage class timetable, and we just need to fill in the blanks. All right. So notice how over here it says calendar type, which is the set that we want to use. So whatever set that you have created in your calendar, this is where it should bring up. Okay. So by selecting here with the right calendar sets, most of the fields will be pretty much self-populated. Okay, and you will just need to go in and pick up the correct divisions that you want. All right, and the second part of the timetable is obviously to set up the actual timetable, as in selecting the subject, the time, and the date that you want this subject to carry a class. All right, once we have set all this up, just click Add New Class, and then the newly created timetable will be displayed at the bottom of the screen. Okay, so this is setting up a timetable. The next is we mentioned about request class or manage request. So the teacher or the program manager, the DOS, whoever can request to make up two type of class, a make-up class as well as a catch-up class. So a make-up class is where we will create an extra class to set up replacement class. You know, majorly people use this for to make up for public holidays. Okay, so if for whatever reason we have missed a class, for maybe school needs to, the institute needs to close for a day for whatever reason, then we can use a makeup class, this feature, to set up a class just to make up the lost day. Okay, and these are the steps that we will go through in a bit later. Then the next thing is a catch-up class. So a catch-up class is to allow to set up extra classes if we have identified some student, either they have, late start students that come and join a bit later, or they have some students that have missed on some classes for whatever reason, or if you even have identified some at-risk students that you think they might need some extra pushed, so we can then set up catch-up classes. Again, these are the steps that we will go through in the system later. Okay. And then for whatever reason, I mean, before we set up a timetable, there's a few prerequisites that we would need to be in place. Number one, obviously, is your academic calendar. And number two is your location, your classrooms. We would very much prefer that you would have your teacher resources already at the beginning of the timetable, setting up timetable. But if we don't have, that's not a problem, because we can use this function, the replacement feature, to actually replace that to add the teacher to the timetable. Okay, or alternatively, as the namesake, replace or release. So for whatever reason, if one teacher that has already been assigned a class cannot perform the assignment, so teacher might go on sick leave, go on annual leave, or whatever personal reasons, or not, that they are not able to carry the class any further, then we can replace this class with a different teacher. Or if this teacher happens to be maybe on a sick leave for a day or two or for a week, then we can also find a relief teacher to cover for that period of time. Okay. And then last but not least, I will go through the steps to show you how we can assign flexible timetable to our students. Okay. So without further ado, let me quickly go into our mesh system. Just to start, go into admin and manage calendar. Okay, so you'll come out to this page. I have set up a simple scenario for myself. My criteria is there's going to be 2 semesters in a year, and each semester carry 18 weeks of study. Okay, so I've already created my semester 1 as an example over here to show you. Okay, so starting on the 5th of February and finishing on the 6th of June. Okay, now I will take you through by creating semester 2. So I've given the name semester 2. Course type obviously is higher ed. Year is 2024. And now calendar set. Okay, calendar set, we can choose the same calendar sets for the same semesters, provided that they do not overlap. Okay, so if I'm trying to create another semester, say maybe a semester, a summer semesters that might overlap into semesters 2 or 1, then we'll have to use a different calendar sets. So in this case, I can easily go, because my first semesters, I actually use semester set 30. I can keep it as semester set 30 if I do so wish. Okay, because they are essentially do not overlap. And my semester 2 will start on, say, the 5th of August and finish on the finish on the 8th of December. So this is the criteria, this is the scenario that I set for myself. The other thing that we want to look up for is the census date. Census date is an important date that we need for reporting. Okay. Then we have a few places. We can either set it up here or we can set it up a bit later. All right. So I am going to leave my census date on, say, August. So because I'm setting this up a bit later, so I'm going to go in and say, so I'm going to say my census date is going to be on the 16th of August. Okay, so once I've set up all my criteria, I just click add semester, and you will see that my semesters has been created. So semesters 1, I have already set it up. So if at any cases, if you want to make any amendments, you just click onto this pencil icon. So you can change your start and finish date and just click add update semesters. Or you can then click on this. If you don't need this semesters anymore, you can click on the red button, the red cross button, to remove it, on the basis that you have not used this semesters, you have not linked this to any courses or anything. All right, so you can remove this. If you have already used this new creation, link it to a course and set up timetable, then you have to do the reverse. You have to we have to delete everything from the back to the front. Okay, so then you also have this pencil where you can go in and set up a release date for your results. Okay, so in terms of my first semesters, my release date, if you haven't set up a release date, the system will automatically calculate based on whatever start and finish date. Then the system will have an algorithm to calculate. But you were given the option to go in and set your release date. So meaning that when this results, the students' result will be available for students to see. Okay, so this will require a bit of coordination on your side, where you have to get your teachers to be able to submit all the respective results to you in time for you to release the data to the students. Okay, so the pencil allows you to set that. If you do not set this date, then the system will automatically calculate a date for you. So for example, in my newly created semester, if I click in here, you can see that it actually tells me my semester's results will be released on the 22nd of December. Okay, so that's about 2 weeks after my exams. Okay, so I'm going to leave it as it is, and I've already changed my census date. Okay, so now that I have set up my semester, I can then go into to define my semester. Okay, so this is what we call semesters division, is where I define my semester. So course type obviously will be higher ed, year, and then now I have to go and look for the semesters that I've created. So in this year, 2024, there are 4 different semesters that has been created. We're not going to look at these 2. This is the one that I've created. I'm going to look at semester 2 at the moment. So this is a new term, and then essentially we only have the one term. All right. Number of weeks will be, I say we want to be 18 weeks. And the week start, it will automatically pick up the start date. Okay. And number of hours, I think standard is about 20 hours. But if you have a slightly different hours, you can change. This is not a default. Okay. And then once we've done that, just click Add Semesters Division. So it created 18 weeks of studies for me. So all of this will be green. Okay, so my scenario is 18 weeks of study with 1 week break in between and 3 weeks exam. So I'm going to 2, 4, 6. Okay, week 7. It's going to be my term break. All right, I have 1 week break, and then I would have the rest for my, it's here. Week 8 will be my term break, and then I will have until week 15. That's my study. And over here, we do not actually note that this is an exam week. So I've included the 3 weeks in there. I don't have to plan all the way, in terms of planning timetable, I don't have to plan all the way up to cover the exam weeks. We have to be careful here. Okay, so I'm leaving these 3 weeks there just in case. For me, is just in case I need to do some makeup classes, catch-up classes, or whatnot in here. Then I have the flexibility. All right. So the leaving is the standard scenario is here. So I've already marked off my term break, and then I know the last 3 weeks is my exams. Okay, so I already set up my terms, my divisions. So now I'm going to go in here, which is the third step. So I will go in and choose. So we have 30 different calendar sets, right? Usually people will do the first few because they are the most obvious. And, just for your arguments, you have 30 sets to use. So in this case, I use set 30. Okay, so I can say, of course, I look for all the active courses, and if all these courses based on the same calendar set 30, I will choose all courses. All right. In this case, I only want my course, which is Bachelor of Hospitality Management, to be assigned to set 30. So which is what I have done here. So I just select that, click Add, and it will come down to the bottom to show that this course is now linked to calendar set 30. Okay, so from there, we know that the timetable has been created. The calendar has been created. Next thing we want to look at is to make sure that our training room is all in place. So I've created, this is our in-house system. So obviously we have a few training rooms that we have set up. So I'm going to focus on the first few rooms. Okay. So while we're at this, I just quickly bring it to your attention. Under manage venue, we got to make sure that the effective date, the effective from date for this menu is recorded. Okay. So this ties back to your TCSI reporting. Okay. This effective date for your TCSI reporting is important. It is an important field. Okay, so please make sure that unless you say this venue is not going to be reported, then you probably don't need to worry about this effective date from. But if your class, the course that you're going to be reporting will also tie into this venue, then you got to make sure that the effective from date is being recorded. Okay, so then very straightforward, we have already done our training locations as well as our calendar. Right? Ideally, if we already have our resources on hand, that we know that which teacher is going to be teaching which subject. Okay, so all our teachers is on hand. So I've created my two teacher A and B. All right. So the important part is teacher matrix. I have to then assign the subject that my teacher is going to be able to teach to this teacher. So in this case, for my hospitality management course, I've assigned all the subjects to teacher A. As you see, once you do that and you click all subjects and then click add matrix, it will be added all to this teacher. So we can also specify at what level this teacher can teach this course or this subject at. All right. So in our cases, all our teachers are teaching in the advanced level. Okay. You might have some teachers that might be able to teach at a slightly lower level or even more expert level. So it's up to you how you define your classified. So I have two teachers set up, teacher A and teacher B, and they were both assigned to teach under hospitality management, all the subjects. So I have laid down all my groundwork. I have my calendar set up, my location set up, as well as my teacher set up. Okay, now I can go and prepare my timetable. So if I go into just click timetable, under management class timetable, over here, see again, the calendar set is important because from here, we got to choose which calendar sets we're going to use because our course is then linked to calendar set, remember? So under calendar set 30, if I click on this down arrow, there's these two semesters that I have linked to this calendar set. So now I'm going to focus on semester 2. Okay, term is 1, and then it will obviously quickly pick up the whole term for me. Okay, I can prepare a timetable 1 week by week. Okay, but I can also similarly prepare the timetable for the whole term. So by clicking start week here, and then end week. Now this is the catch. So end week, if I put all the way up to the last week, so that means that I know that when I say the last 3 weeks is my exam weeks. If I create the timetable all the way up to the last week, that means that I have to allocate a classroom, I allocate a teacher resources to these 3 weeks. But essentially, I'm putting it there to ping my term, like my semesters. But then these 3 weeks, if it's an exam week, then, in my scenario, I don't want to lock them down into a classroom or to make sure that I have the resources. So I'm only going to go up to week 15. So this is the actual class that the actual study of the class, starting from week 1 of the semesters to all the week 15. All right. The last 3 weeks, in terms of marking attendance, if they come and sit in for the exams, then that's pretty much marking the attendance for them, correct? Okay, the next thing, this is the other part where we say censor dates. We have, when we are setting out a calendar, says that the census date is on the 16th of August. Okay, so we can change from here as well. If you haven't already set up a census date back when we're setting up a calendar, you can come in here to manage your census dates as well. Okay, assessor is probably the one that is going to be marking the assessment, the person that's going to be marking the assessment and all that. All right, assessor doesn't have to be a teacher. All right. So, but if we haven't put an assessor and I choose a teacher down here, then the teacher will automatically link up to the assessor, right? So if I have, so in this case, I have teacher A and teacher B. All right. So I can have teacher A as an assessor, but then teacher B as a teacher to teach this particular subject. So it's up to you who will manage this. Okay. So now I'm going to just leave them as it is. All right, as unassigned, because I want to show you. So the scenario here is if I already have my teacher in place, I know that I'm going to have come here and say choose either teacher A or teacher B. So just on hindsight, let's say that if I haven't have any teacher at hand, I don't know who is going to be running this class, I will just leave it as unassigned for the time being. Okay, then I will go in and choose the subject that I want to do. So for example, in this case, I'm going to choose monitor work operation. Okay. And very importantly, in terms of timetable, besides the calendar sets, the next thing is the batch. Okay. So this is a brand new batch because I'm creating a brand new timetable. So I use new batch and I'm going to just call it example batch 2. So for you, we always say that put something that is meaningful to you. We always suggest maybe use the subject code, or if you know that you're going to assign to a certain teacher, you can use a teacher initial or a specific room. And then, if this is going to be, if you have a straightforward timetable, so if this is going to be an AM class, you can put in. So the combination has this is free text. The combination have no restriction on how you name your batch. But the most importantly is you have to make sense to you, because this batch is what is going to be linked up, and you're going to assign student into the batch. Okay, so just for argument's sake, in here I'm going to use example 2 as my batch. All right, and now I'm going to create. So firstly, I'm going to create my timetable. All right, I want it to be a Monday class. Timetable is a lecture. Okay, and I have in terms of marking attendance, how often do we want to mark attendance? I want it to mark hourly. Okay, so we have 4 hourly, 3 hourly, 2 hourly, 1 hourly, and also 1 session. So it's up to you to choose. So in this case, I'm going to choose hourly. All right, and there's this thing called default timetable. Right. So this is very good to use, as in if you don't use default timetable, you can obviously use this start and finish time. So what time do I start my class? Okay. And then what time I finish. But if you want to use a default timetable, meaning that we're going to use this timetable to default these are the default times that most of the classes will be running. Okay. So we have created a few different time here. So if I'm going to use this default time, I can simply click here and says I'm going to do, say, 2 to 5. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 3 hours, and I also set up a break time. That's 3 to 3:45. So these are all being presetted if you use this default timetable, and so that it will be all set up for you. It's easier for you to set up a few timetables. The next is we have to also pick up which room. So for example, I'm going to just go into lecture room 2. And once I set up all this, I just click add classes. This will be added. Okay. Now, the scenario for this is I want 1 lecture and 2 tutorials. So now I'm going to go in and set up my tutorial. So instead of a new batch for the same student, for the same subject, I just go into existing batch, and it automatically pick up batch 2. Okay, so I'm going to say in this case maybe on Thursday and Friday. Okay, and then this time around tutorial, and I'm going to set. So Thursday, I'm going to set one at 10 to 11. Okay, going into tutorial room 1. Add class. All right, and I'm still going to go in and set existing for batch. Still use batch 2. Same Thursday and Friday tutorial class. But this time around, I'm going to set it for afternoon. So now you can see that I have already set up on a Monday, which is a lecture, and then I have Thursday and Fridays for 2 tutorials. Why am I doing this? I'm setting up for the flexible timetable. Okay, so my timetable has already been set. All right, so from here, we can go into manage requests. So if ever someone wants to make up a request, want to put through a request for a makeup or a catch-up class, they can go into timetable, manage requests, click here, add class, and then from here, they can then choose either a catch-up class or a makeup class. Okay, so if I say I want to make up class, I can give a description on what the class is for. Then I have to then select, see how the calendar type is important because I have to select which class am I making up. Then the course is attached to the calendar type, so we have to choose. All right, so very simply, once I choose that, the system will recognize that we are now in semesters 2. All right, you can also choose semester 1. All right, so in this case, recognize, and then we can, it will say that because I've only created one set of timetable for this subject, so automatically this is here. Okay, and then under here, the example match, the batch is what we have set up. And then over here is we can make up, what do we want to make up, lecture or tutorials? So in this case, I'm making up for my lecture. Okay, and then I can, so anyone can request for this class. You know, presumably it will usually will come from the teacher. It can be the program manager or the DOS or whoever that is in the academic team. Okay, catch up class, makeup class. If you have access to teacher portal, teacher can actually put through their request to set up a makeup class or catch up class from the teacher portal. All right, so we can leave it unassigned or we can choose whichever teacher. All right, and then obviously when is the request date? I'm going to leave it as today. Now, when do we want to make that class? So I'm just arbitrarily going to select a date. All right, and from what time we're going to do it? So say maybe I want it to be from 9 o'clock. Okay, and then what time do I finish? So maybe I finish at 11 o'clock. Okay, so room again is very important. Now, where do I want to set up the room? Maybe I'll just go and select one of these rooms. All right, so this is still under the request date, and then we just click add request. So this will be added. Okay, so if I click here and go into my makeup class, you see that my makeup class for semester 2 have been added. All right, so naturally you will go through your in-house process in terms of approving this request. So once this request is approved saying that it's a go, then you would want to add student to this class. So over here, there's this icon over here. Just click on the second icon, the green tick icon. Then you can click here and say from here, if we have any student that is, we can click add user. Okay. So if we have any student that has not been assigned, that has already been enrolled into this class, the student list will list out here and then you can just choose the student. In this case, for this particular subject, we haven't have anyone assigned to this timetable as yet. So hence it's got nothing showed. So let me quickly show you a different example. So over here, have I got something that I can show you? No, this class is not being assigned either. So once we have this approved for the teacher, for the class, just click this icon to assign the student. The next I want to show you is the replacement teacher. See how we left it as unassigned. So from we go into replacement teacher and say if we go into unassigned, okay, so fill in the blanks. So I'm looking for semester 2. All right, for this particular subject, I now have whatever subject, whatever teacher that I have linked to my teacher matrix, I can then decide which teacher I want to use for replacement. Example, 5 classes assigned. Okay, so this way I've assigned to this teacher. So if I quickly toggle this back, step away. Teacher A. You can see that the class that I've created under timetable will be assigned here already. We can also use this to go in and change to replace or relieve. So you can use this feature to do. Right. Last but not least, quickly show you in terms of how are we going to set up flexible timetable. So go into student, search for the student. Okay, in this case, I'm going to use different search criteria. I'm going to search for the course and then search. I have one student that is registered under this course. Just click this magnifying glass icon to bring up the student profile. Go into results. Okay, so under subject, we choose the subject that we want to assign the timetable to, and see how the batch is now important because we've got to assign them into this batch. Okay, and then just click enroll. So this student is now being enrolled into this particular subject. But because we have, if this is a straightforward subject with like a straightforward timetable, so meaning student or there is no option to choose which class they have to do, then this would be pretty much where you will stop. But because we're giving the scenario as there is a flexible timetable, so we come into this third icon over here. Under this pop-up page, we know we have to go to select the lecture. Then in terms of tutorials, then we can select maybe on Thursday I want to do, or you want to assign the student to a morning tutorial, and on a Friday you assign student to an afternoon tutorial. Okay, so you can select from there and then just click add timetable. So this will be added. If you have access to student portal and also you have turned on the student self-enrollment module, then student can actually do this part on their own as well. So naturally now this has been managed by your admin staff. But if the student have the access to student portal and you also have activated student self-enrollment module, then they can manage this part on their own, meaning they can choose whichever. Okay, so once we've done that, close. Oops. Have I not select them? Okay, I have. I'm going to step away and come back again. See how the timetable is now being set up. Okay, so very simply, this is how we will assign flexible timetable on a single student basis. In my next couple of sessions, I will talk to you about how we mark attendance as well as how we do group assignment as well. So as in how we will assign timetable in a group basis rather than here is a one by one session. Okay, so coming back to my slides, I've pretty much covered all the topics that I want to. In my slide deck, there is also, if I can quickly show you my system. All right. If you haven't already know, please make yourself very familiar with this icon. This is the help icon, online help. So we always suggest that if you need to do some self-help, find some answers very quickly, click on this help and then do some searching. Say if I want to look at how do I set up calendar, I can just click that and then over here it actually gives me, and I just click that and all my steps will become up. It's dynamic. Okay, so but on my slide deck, I have also given you the access to the user guide in terms of calendar user guide and how you can create timetable management. So this is the user guide. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. This is the end of my session. And I still see that there is a question post, but I think I've overrun my session. May I know how to manage requests? Not. Can you please explain how to set up streams if I have? Okay, I see two questions popping up. I think I've overrun my session, so let me answer you in a separate email after the session, okay? So is there any other questions? So I'm going to post my PowerPoint, my presentation slides onto the chat for you. So you can go in and download this slide if you need to. Okay, so I have posted my slide deck onto the chat. So if you're interested, you can feel free to download the slide deck. And I do see the two questions. Thank you, Pearl, as well as Maximilian. So I will reply to you after the session in a separate email. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. So let me put my pretty face back on. So thank you everyone for today's session, and I wish you guys a good weekend coming. All right. So this will be the end of my training session. Thank you.